Hello, my lovely, and welcome to episode 37 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. So before I get going today, I'm going to do two things that I really must remember to do more often. If you listen to this podcast on Apple or Spotify, please leave me a review. I would really, really appreciate that. And if you listen to my podcast from YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And yes, if you're like, oh, I can follow you on YouTube, Amy. Yes, you can. You can listen and watch me speak. Winner, winner. Okay, so today's podcast episode is the last in this 3-part series where I've been taking your questions and those themes that came up from when I ran my live launch event, which seems like a long time ago, about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, that Profitable Yoga Business Roadmap. And at the end of that free event, I had a coaching call where you could submit some questions. And there were 3 large themes that came up. And today I'm going to talk about the feelings of resentment and frustration when they arrive in our yoga business. So the questions had various topics and various reasons why people were feeling frustrated or that feeling of resentment had arisen. But they went along the lines of, I'm beginning to feel resentment because I'm feeling frustrated because, and then the rest was about something related to the act of going out and teaching yoga. And I totally understand that we would perceive resentment and frustration as negative emotions, as things we don't want, okay? But I'm going to tell you now that these are very necessary things that we do need to experience and will experience as part of being a self-employed yoga teacher, someone who is running a business, whether it's 1 class, 2 classes, you own a studio, you have an online business, I don't care. If you are putting yourself out into the world and sharing your service, aka teaching yoga, and exchanging that for money, you are running a business, okay? However big, however small, the principles are the same. And when we are running a business, things don't always go according to plan. And sometimes we do need to feel some discomfort. We need to experience things not going according to plan in order for us to get clear on what will work for us, in order for us to stay on the path that is right for us, the path that is in alignment with our own energies, with what it is we want to do at this present moment of time. The best way I can compare this so you can really understand it is to our yoga practice. Now, I know whenever I do this, I always pick a hard pose. I'm going to do the same again because it really helps. Let's imagine that you are new to yoga and you come to my yoga class and you say to me, the first thing you say to me is, Amy, I really, really want to do an unsupported headstand in the middle of the room and be able to float my legs up in one go. I saw it on YouTube and it looked great. I know this is unlikely to happen, okay? But you say that to me and I'm like, yeah, we can make this happen. We can do this. But the process for you getting to that point where you can do and that end goal, right, is you're going to have to roll your mat out. You're going to have to practice regularly. You're going to have to do some hard work. Have to do some core work. Like, I've got every reason under the sun why I can leave my core work for tomorrow. You're gonna have to do some core work. You have to do some strength work. You're gonna have to do some drills. You're going to have to do the hard graft. You're going to have to put in the time in order to reach that goal. And we might see that as the end goal, but actually, even you learn to do headstand, you're like, okay, yoga isn't just about headstand. This expands into other areas. It's not just about making shapes, or there might be other shapes that you want to go on and explore. Your yoga business is the same. We're forever setting these goals or having these visions of where we should be at a certain time and what we should be doing in a certain time and place. And the reality is this feeling of frustration, this feeling of resentment often comes up because we are out of alignment energetically with where we should be. So for me, there are 2 reasons why frustration and resentment appears. And it's either connected to your beliefs all your actions. Now, even this is interesting because I've separated beliefs and actions, but thoughts become things. Okay. And our beliefs inform our actions. So even these aren't separable. But for the purposes of today's podcast, I am going to separate them. So let's take beliefs. And you are feeling frustrated because something hasn't gone according to plan, or you feel like you should be further along than where you are now. Okay. Who has decided that? You. Okay. We are the only person creating this stuff, that these rules that we are making up. We are the only person creating this stuff. So we are the person in this instance creating the frustration, creating the resentment, because we've told ourselves, our belief system has told ourselves that we should look like that yoga teacher we just saw on Instagram, that we should have a website like that other local teacher, that our class should have that many students as that class, that person who trained with you, who's now gone on to do retreats. Why haven't I done that? Okay. Maybe energetically, it isn't where you're meant to be. One of my favorite things is stepping back and saying, what if I'm right where I'm meant to be? So these feelings of these things I think I should have, these feelings of these things I should have achieved. Okay. If I reframe that and think, maybe I'm right where I'm meant to be, that these things that I think I wanted, if they were here now, would be too much for me. And it's having that trust, that faith that the universe had your back, that the universe knows what it is you need and now. And the only person that is telling us different is you. And that feeling of resentment, that feeling of frustration is being out of alignment with what your higher self knows to be true. So that feeling of resentment, when that arises, you've just got to step back and think, okay, why is this here? Is it because I have a belief that simply isn't true? But it can also be actions. So resentment, frustration can be arising in our business because we're doing something, we're physically doing something which will be driven by our beliefs, physically doing something which is out of alignment with where we now want to be. And this is interesting. This is why we need to experience resentment and frustration, because it may be that what we were doing before was okay, but now we've evolved, we've changed, things have shifted, and there's something we need to change. And change sometimes ain't easy, right? Like if I want to change so I can do this headstand in the middle of the room, I've got to do the hard work. I've got to do some things that I probably would rather not do. I've got to be consistent in my practice. It's the same in your business. When there might be something that needs to change and we're resisting that change, that resistance will create frustration and resentment, because you need to do something different, and that perhaps your higher self will know what it is, but you are telling yourself through the belief system that you're not ready for it, or your students won't like it, you're going to upset people. And this is all this people pleasing that comes in, and also our dear friend imposter syndrome that tells you, well, actually, I don't think if you charge that much, people are going to come. I don't think if you run this course, people are going to book on. But your higher self is like, yes, this is what you're meant to do. And your thinking part of your brain's going, nope, you're not ready. And then what happens? You feel frustrated. You feel stuck. You're resenting where you are because you're out of alignment. The other thing to think about when we're talking about these feelings of resentment and frustration is what we focus on expands. What we appreciate appreciates. So when those feelings come up, we start to get into this cycle, these thought patterns. And remember, thoughts become things. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling frustrated because my students don't turn up every week. I'm feeling frustrated because not everyone pays when I ask them to, right? I'm feeling frustrated because I'm not earning enough money for the effort I'm putting out. Okay, higher self says, charge more. Thinking brain thinks, but people aren't going to pay it. imposter syndrome kicks in. I'm not good enough to charge as much. Oh, compare and despair kicks in. That yoga teacher that's got that nice website and that fancy studio, they're charging that much. How can I possibly charge this much? So you stay stuck feeling frustrated. You're not earning enough money. You're feeling I'm feeling resentment. I'm feeling frustration because I'm not earning enough money. To break this is you have to charge more. Okay, just see this cycle of stuckness. And the change, which isn't always easy, which often brings up discomfort, right, means that we get out of that stuck place. So how do I turn all of this around from out of the doom loop, right? I call it a doom loop. I get myself stuck in doom loops frequently, by the way. The doom loop of I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling resentment, and this isn't working out for me. How do I get out from that to, okay, I feel the frustration, I feel the resentment. Thank you. This is the first thing you're going to say. Thank you, because this is contrast. This is showing me that something's out of alignment. This is showing me what I don't want. Okay. And I'm going to acknowledge this and be grateful for these feelings arising, because these are necessary. These are part of running a business. Okay. Then instead of staying focused on these things, because Amy's right, what I focus on expands. If you want evidence of that, I'll tell you what, I've got a great little side story here. If you haven't had children, there'll be another example you can latch onto, I'm sure. But when I got pregnant with my first son, I was like, gosh, everyone is pregnant. All of a sudden, everyone around me is pregnant. I'm like, where are all these pregnant people coming from? Do you know what it was? What you focus on expands. So I was pregnant, so I noticed everyone else that was pregnant, right? So all of a sudden, in my world, in my belief system, what I was experiencing in my physical experience was everyone around me was pregnant. I am focusing on the resentment, on the feelings of frustration in my business. Okay, I'm funny enough hanging out in Facebook groups where there are other yoga teachers moaning the same. And we're like, oh my God, yes, everyone's feeling this, everyone. And you're like, what do you mean, Amy? The yoga industry globally is worth 88 billion pounds. I'm in a Facebook group where no one's making any money off their classes. Okay, get off our Facebook group. Come and hang out in my world, darling. Okay, this is the first thing you're going to do. And then we have to step back. Okay, and this is easier said than done. We have to step back and take a look at the reason behind the frustration. Is it because it's a belief? Is there something in there that we are telling ourselves that are simply not true? Okay, or is it an action? Are we pursuing something? Or arranging our payment structures, listen back to episode 35 for that one, arranging our payment structures in a way that are no longer serving us, okay? Are we overgiving? I bet we are, okay? Look, there are many wonderful things about being female. There is, no coincidence that women largely take up caring, healing roles. This is why we see the majority. If you Google it, it's 75% of yoga teachers are women. We are drawn to these caring roles. We want to help. We want to be in servitude to help people. This is a good thing. But we are also, I'm laughing because I'm just so guilty of this myself. We are also guilty sometimes of over-delivering, over-giving, people pleasing, and all of that stuff. When we give too much of our energy away, our vibration away, okay, and we're not getting the same energy back, okay, that some of that energy is money, right? When that is out of alignment, we feel resentment and frustration. Yeah. And you can't serve long time through that. Like, if you are like, I'm deeply passionate about yoga, I love teaching yoga and I really want to help people, and you're like, but I'm feeling frustrated because I'm not earning enough money, you have to take action to change that. Okay. Because if you don't, the long-term net result is everyone loses. You stop teaching. You had these wonderful gifts, this wonderful dream of helping people, and people lose the chance to come and do yoga with you. So I want to take you to an example of someone in my mentorship program where this came up for her this week. She qualified last year as a yoga teacher and joined my mentorship program, and really no yoga offerings. And we were looking at starting a small number of in-person classes. And, I promise I need to do this, right? I need to do some episodes where I'm like, help, I've just qualified. What's next? When you're staring out into the sea of, okay, I'm past my yoga teacher training. What's next? Can feel really overwhelming. I promise you, it is on the list of things I want to cover. I've got too much to talk about. Anyway, so look, I always am like, look, personally, I get 1, maybe 2 classes going, and don't overfill yourself with loads of classes everywhere, trying to fill all these classes all at once. Okay. It will, for the majority of people, energetically be overwhelming. But actually, she wasn't sure whether evening was going to work or a morning was going to work. So I was like, look, well, she found a great couple of rooms. Room rental was really low. She had the time, the energy and capacity. So I'm like, look, go out and then test it. Test 2 classes in an evening, test 2 classes in the morning, and see which ones work best for you. So this was started back so like 9 months ago, and she's had some real success with these classes. Numbers have fluctuated, but overall she's always made money. Those in my mentorship program always are profitable. She's always made money, but recently her evening class numbers, one class in particular, has really dipped off. And I got a voicemail message from her saying, look, I'm feeling really frustrated. Okay. Class numbers are dropped off. Why? And it's really useful, the fact that I've been teaching for 14 years and I'm able to, first of all, say, this happens. Okay. This happens. And there are a multitude of reasons. If this is happening to you or ever happens to you, okay, there are a multitude of reasons, and none of them are because, right, you are a rubbish yoga teacher. None of them are. Okay. You stay steadfast in the belief that 100% you are needed, that your tribe needs you. Okay. Our unique set of experiences, our unique set of the practice of yoga, which is completely unique to us, is needed in the world. Okay. It is easy, I know, to blame external circumstances. Oh, it's the economy. Oh, people don't want to do X, Y, and Z. But actually, it's often to do with something else. Okay. And when I dug deep with this teacher, I'm like, well, you had previously communicated to me that you're not a major fan of going out in the evening, which I completely sympathize with. I am 44. I have an 8 and a 10-year-old, and going out in the evenings at the moment, I can't do. I can't go out and teach in the evenings at the moment. I'm too busy with the kids. They've been at school all day. 6 o'clock is tea time if they haven't got a club. And actually, maybe I'm getting old, but energetically, like I started to really resent going out in the evenings. And I know when I feel that resentment, I have to at some point make a change. And I last year just decided I was not going to physically go out and teach in the evenings anymore. It was a hard decision. Of course, I felt guilty. Of course, I thought, oh God, I'm letting my students down. But I know from 14 plus years of experience, when you feel resentment, when you feel frustration, when you feel those negative emotions, they're a sign that something's out of whack, right? Alignment for you. Nothing to do with anybody else, nothing to do with external circumstances, nothing to do with your students. It's just completely out of alignment with you. And you're the only one who can change it and do anything about it. And it might feel uncomfortable, but you'll be so glad that you've made this change. So this teacher, I was like, look, you did express that you were feeling like you were enjoying the evenings as much as the morning. And then when I dug a bit deeper, she's teaching in 2 different places, and she really loves the place that is the daytime class, but she feels less aligned with the evening class. And I'm like, listen to this, okay? Because energetically, there's a vibration, there's a frequency, there's an energy behind this, okay? And these feelings that you've got coming up are very likely to be reasons why your numbers are beginning to drop, because your higher self, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is telling you or pointing you in a different direction. Or conversely, I also gave the advice that sometimes, and please take this on, guys, this is important, sometimes our numbers do drop, okay? And this is why over time I do recommend like a suite of offers. Like I'm hesitant about saying this because like I get lit up by lots of ideas, and I maybe do too many things sometimes, and I have to rein myself in. But I have a range of offers. I've got classes, I've got an online membership, I've got training, and I've got my mentorship program. Okay, this is stuff I built up over 14 years, by the way. But it is just useful in your business to not just have one reliant source of income. Although that said, when you're starting out, very much so, it might be those 2 classes, and over time things might grow. Okay, and come into my mentorship program. I help you create that pathway of profit that grows with you where you are. Okay, but it is useful, like if you are self-employed, to just not be solely relied on one income stream. I tell you, COVID taught us that 100%. So, but this teacher actually is already protected. She has other things that she offers beyond her yoga, but she's also set up an online membership, and she's also got plans for retreat and workshops. So the class numbers dipping in the evening haven't had economically too much of a detrimental effect. The frustration and resentment is coming from the effort, and this came up in one of the questions from my Profitable Yoga Business Roadmap call, was I'm feeling resentment. I'm turning up to teach this class. This was one of the words of this teacher. I'm lugging my mat. I'm planning this class. And one week there's 2 people, and another week there's 10. When I drilled down with this teacher, this is from the free live event, they had this silly pass system, which meant one week there were 2 people, some week there were 10. I said, look, the resentment is you need to change your payment scheme. And of course, then the beautiful brain kicks in, like, people won't pay it. People are used to this. I'm like, look, the resentment is you turn up and there are only 2 people there, and the only person losing is you. They don't lose their money. Okay, long term they will lose, because if you don't change, this resentment will build up. It's like a pressure cooker, and you go, I'm not doing this anymore. Okay, so going back to this lady that's in my mentorship program, the other piece of advice I gave to her about this evening class, because sometimes when that resentment, frustration is there, the pathway isn't clear. So it could be easy to just say, actually, I'm going to knock this class on the head. It's because I don't want to teach in the evening. It's because I don't like the hall. But if that class was full, how would you feel about it? And you probably feel very, very different. So the other thing to do energetically is like, okay, people are coming. I'm not losing money. People are coming. And those people that come, I really enjoy teaching. So I'm like, energetically, turn up and teach. If there are 3 people there, teach, and imagine that there's 15, that the room is full. This also has an energetic vibration. Now, a caveat here, like I'm talking about intention and energy and vibration. This all matters. Okay, but manifestation, okay, comes from 2 places. It comes from correct energy, intention in alignment with where you truly want to be. Okay, and frustration and resentment, by the way, create a veil. Yeah, you'll understand this. Create a veil, the veil of Maya. Okay, veil of Maya. Where we can't truly see what it is we need to see. So be careful. Don't make rash decisions in places of frustration and resentment. You acknowledge those feelings, you take a step back, you look and consider why they are there, you challenge the facts of your belief system. Okay, you look at your actions that might be misalignment, and then you take the brave step to make changes that will diminish, reduce, remove those feelings of frustration and resentment. But manifestation comes from, you heard it there, you saw it in that process, comes from getting energetically aligned, comes from stepping back, it comes from energy. Okay, but I could hang out in this place forever. Nothing will actually come to fruition until I take action into satisfaction. Let's go right back to that lady that teacher that was asked me that question about she's feeling frustrated because she's lugging all these mats, she's planning this class, she's driving to this venue, and one week there's 2 students, another week there's 10. Okay, to change that manifestation, she has to take action. She has to stop it being possible that just 2 people can turn up one week and 10 can turn up the next. She needs to change her payment structure so people commit to coming every week. So frustration and resentment, they are your friends, my darling. They show you what you don't want. What we appreciate appreciates. What we focus on expands. So if you stay thinking about frustrated feelings, thinking about the resentment, that's where you'll stay. Know that you have the power to shift. Before you decide to take action to change things, I do really encourage you to take some time to pause, to breathe, to sit in quiet meditation, to think about what it is the action that you best need to try and take to turn you from what you don't want to what you do want. Now, doing all of this alone is not easy, which is why let's take that teacher, that's in my mentorship program. Like, we talk through those feelings of frustration. Actually, I got her to step back and think, can you just step back and look at, you qualified last year. Look at everything you've created. You've got 4 profitable classes. Yes, in some classes you'd like the number to be higher, but you've got 4 profitable classes and you've created some online offerings. You haven't been qualified for a year yet. This is amazing. So that simple belief that she should be further along, that she should have more people in her classes, she was being hard on herself. Yeah, it was actually her belief system that was standing in the way. Although we will keep an open mind to whether long-term the evening class is serving her, but right now she's not in a decision to go, I'm not doing it anymore. Okay, but knowing she has the power to change it, and knowing that she could come to me with these questions and we could talk it through together, so she's just not relying on her beautiful brain, is so powerful. So this is why you really need to come into my mentorship program. So if you head over to amyyoga.com, click on mentoring, you will see that you can add your name to the wait list for my mentorship program. The doors are going to be opening in the first week of June. Okay. And I have been umming and ahhing about my price. I need to really put the price up. I've had a word with myself. I really need to put the price up on my mentorship program, because the level of support and the transformation that you get is mind-blowing. Okay, mind-blowing for the 6 months of personal support that you get. That said, so many of you who came to, and I know lots of you are now listeners and were listeners of this podcast, so many of you came to me when I opened the doors in February this year, after that Profitable Yoga Business launch event. So many of you came to me and said, Amy, I really want to come in now, but I'm not quite ready. In the sense, some of you were finishing your training, some of you hadn't planned to join my mentorship program and the funds just weren't available to you. And actually, some of you, we had only just met. And I do appreciate when you just meet someone for the first time and you're thinking, do I want to give this person just under £700 and hang out with them for 6 months? You might be, I'm not totally sure. Okay. So I know sometimes it takes some time to get to know someone before you feel ready to make that investment. So I made the decision, after thinking about it, spending some time exploring the possibilities and how I felt about it, I've made the completely aligned decision that when the doors open in June, the price is staying the same. Okay, I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up. The price will 100% go up when the doors open in autumn. So get yourself organized now, is what I'm saying. The doors are opening the first week of June. Add your name to the wait list, because you get a little sneak preview into the program, and the price is going to remain the same in June. So it is $695 or 6 payments of £125. And listen, this investment in my mentorship program, me on your team for 6 months, you will make your investment back. You will make your investment back. I will help you move through feelings of frustration and resentment to feelings of ease, flow, and joy, which is totally available for you. All right, my darlings, have a good week, and I'll see you all next week.